This is Eric Stansberry, the Pagan Preacher. Glad to be with you today. Glad that we're going to spend some time together learning and exploring the 7 vices versus the 7 virtues. I'm excited that you're with me today, and I hope that I will become a regular part of your week, part of your routine. At the end of the video cast, there's information on how to subscribe to this YouTube channel and how to find our audio podcast. That's a little bit different from what we do in the video, but it's still part of the Pagan Preacher series. And I should have I'll give you a link to my website where we do hand fastings. I am ordained clergy, so we can do your weddings, or we can speak to your pagan groups or in any way be an uplift and a help to you. So stay tuned. We're going to continue on in our series, and I hope that you're having a great day, a great evening whenever this finds you. And I'm excited to be spending my time with you, and I hope that you are. So grab a cup of coffee, a soda, whatever you need, and let's settle back for this episode of The Pagan Preacher. Okay, neighbor, we're moving on. We're going to look at what we've already talked about, just kind of a review. What are the 7 vices? Now, sometimes you're called the 7 sins of humanity. Understand that in paganism, we don't have the concept of sin. So, to say they're bad choices, they're vices, they are things that are really and truly not anything that you want to have in your life as a normal thing, because it's destructive. Versus 7 virtues that make us who we are, that make us better people, a better race. The human race is one of great potential, of great things that they can do well. Unfortunately, we spend a lot of our time as a human race being very cruel and evil one to another. Last week, we talked about giving versus greed. We've talked about that. We talked about action versus laziness. Last week, we talked about love versus anger. And I hope that you can go back and revisit those. And I do hope that you go over them and maybe come up with some things that questions you have, or even comments, and share them here on this YouTube page. Today I want to talk about chastity versus lust. You know, we live in a society right now that is truly driven by lust. Not just lust in the physical form of I want that man or that woman, that kind of deal. But there's the lust for power, the lust for money, the lust for fame. Lust is an unhealthy desire for something that may not be the best thing in your life. Sometimes it's learning to say no. People that have, like with the sexual lust, which is one we most commonly put in with lust, we find out that they'll do anything to get it, and sometimes they don't care who they're with. That's why so many STDs are now among us, because people just could not say no. Couldn't control that desire, that lust. But the truth of the reality is that that kind of lust, although there's an actual physical consequence and it has other things that go with it, you also have that lust for power. You know, you don't care how you get it, just so you have it. Money, you don't care how you get it, just you want it. So that's greed. Well, there's a little bit of both in all that. We live in a world that is all about the self. Lust is the instant gratification of that want or desire. You know, if I'm lusting after this hot chick or this guy over here, and I go run to get him, and I run to make that happen, at whatever consequence or cost, may it be my family, my marriage, my health, my job, whatever, that lust, that untamed, that uncontrolled urge, then becomes the thing that destroys me. So let's look at what it means to have the lust versus chastity. Chastity is that decision that says, I don't need that. Saying no. Well, everybody loves power. I'm not going to lie to you. I wished I could be in charge of the universe. And if I was in charge, I think some things in my life would be a lot different, and I'd have some different things in my life. But the truth of the reality, the truth is, just because I would not sacrifice my integrity, it wouldn't sacrifice my family for the simple need of being in charge. That's the chastity. That's making those decisions that say, I just don't need this at this time or now. We, as a human race, have to make better decisions. Sometimes we've just got to learn to even tell our kids the word no. Lust drives. Chastity holds back. Lust pushes us. Lust protects us. Lust hurts us. Chastity protects us. It's the situation that we find ourselves in where we have to make those decisions. We read several places, not only in the Christian Bible, the Jewish Old Testament, but we find it in literature all over where men could not control their lust, and it destroyed them. You had David in the Bible with Bathsheba. You've had our presidents, sitting presidents, have problems because they couldn't control what they wanted. Hitler's lust for power plunged all of Europe into World War II. And we see our current leaders around the world battling for control, and they're lusting for power. Whereas the chastity side would say, Hitler could say, I don't need Poland. I can do without Poland for a while. Or perhaps, David could have went back inside the house and said, Bathsheba's not a good idea. But instead what we do, we let our baser instincts drive us. That's why these 7 vices are the enemy of humanity. And the 7 virtues are what we lost in the great fall of humanity, no matter what story you want to go with. We as people have the choice. The true power of magic, the true power of anything, are the choices that we make. The Wiccan Rede says, you get it back in 3s, and that's true. But yet I think we sometimes forget that the magic, be it good or bad, black, white, gray, whatever flavor you want to throw your magic on, has more to do with the choices that you make. And what choices do you intend to make? So this week I want you to think about it. When you go for something, you want something. Are you want it because you need it, or just because you want it? Because you're lusting for that thing. And maybe take some time to back up and say, not yet, not today. I don't need that now. And see how that changes your life. I'll be right back. Hey neighbor, I'm glad you're with us today. I hope that I gave you some food for thought or something to kind of consider. Don't forget, next week we're continuing right on in our series. We'll be moving into humility versus pride. And I'm sure that'll be something everybody's excited to hear about. So be with us next week. Don't forget our audio podcast. The address will be at the end, or how to find it will be at the end of this podcast. My email address is thepaganpreacher@gmail.com. You can contact me at any time with questions, comments, concerns, or even snide remarks. And I'll try to answer all of them, sometimes right here, and sometimes I'll just give you a private message back. Until next week, this is Eric Stansberry, the Pagan Preacher, saying, merry meet and blessed be until we merry meet again. You have a great day, great afternoon, or great night. See ya.